Welcome to another Walter football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst, the most accurate mock drafter in the world. All right, so getting into the 2026 prospect rankings, getting updated. Let's see, we've gone through quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends so far this past week. I'll put a link below for you guys to check those out. Just kind of getting in the preseason, you just kind of get familiar with some of the prospects, and so I thought we'd kind of go over two guys that could be first rounders next April here in Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback at LSU, and Jeremiyah Love, the running back at Notre Dame. I have some info from team people on them as well, but I just cranked out some preseason scouting reports on them, so I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about what I saw on film there and what I heard team people say about them and their early impression. And again, I stress that this is super early. Things can change every year. There are prospects that rise way up and fall way down. Going into the year, they looked like a first rounder, end up getting drafted nowhere near it, or the opposite with a guy like, say, Joe Burrow, a late rounder who skyrockets into going number one overall. So anything's possible. You don't make any hard judgments. I know scouts say that too, when they're watching preseason film. You don't want to make a lot of hard judgments because these are young athletes. There's so much change that happens to them from year to year. Another year in a strength and conditioning program, improved work habits in the weight room and on the field and in the film room. All that stuff plays into players really evolving and changing a lot quickly from one season to the next in college football. So this is just kind of a rough kind of preview of what these players look like. So let's get into Nussmeier first. So Nussmeier, when watching him on film, I thought that definitely you see a good arm. He's got a quick release, throws a very catchable football, has a gunslinger attitude. He's not a running threat, but you see him execute the bootleg throwing on the run, those kind of plays that are very Shanahan kind of offensive plays. He executes those well, throws a very catchable ball, is able to ease off on the velocity, is able to put air underneath it. Everything's not just on a line, can put some loft in it, and will push the ball vertically. So you'll see him attack defenses downfield. He has quality field vision where he's working off his first read. Looks like he has a really good knowledge of his offense, knows where receivers are going to be on the field from the play. So I think he's advanced mentally, which you would expect for being a coach's son. I think that there are times where the accuracy can be a little inconsistent. I think he also needs to show a little bit more resilience in terms of within a game from good to bad, or kind of rallying. And I think there are times where maybe the arm strength, there's a little bit of a confidence factor that he believes in it a little more than he'll be able to get away with some things at the pro level. So those were some of the notes I had from watching him on film. But more important than my opinion, because my opinion, as I say all the time on players, is irrelevant. What matters is where teams value guys and the grades they're giving them and where they value them in the draft. So Nussmeier could have entered the draft last year, and I know some scouts who did reports on him in case he did enter the draft, and then so they were already watching him last year, and then guys have those that have started watching prospects for next draft, some have already watched him a little bit from last year's tape as well. So this is what one source said to me. This was a national scout kind of late in the season. He felt that Nussmeier has a good arm, has that gunslinger attitude, thinks that he can't, this is a quote, can't stop the nosebleed when shit goes downhill, but felt if he goes back to school, improves, he could be a guy, which means like he could be like a top guy kind of thing. So that was what one national scout said to him. Said about Nussmeier. This is what a director of like player personnel kind of level. This is what he said about Nussmeier: talented thrower, trusts his arm too much, unusual kind of arm, and I think what he meant there is like throwing motion. Gave him a starter grade. So a starter grade means like first or second round pick. So those players are generally viewed as future starters. You're drafting guys in the first, second round that are going to be starters is the plan for them. And then your third round picks generally are kind of considered backup to starters, where that grade is this guy will be a backup for a year or two, but he has the upside to ascend into being a starter at the NFL. Then typically your fourth, fifth rounders kind of have backup grades. Even some guys taken in the third could have backup grades, like a quarterback, for example. And then, late rounders, it might not, might be more of like a practice squad or kind of back end of the roster developmental depth. So those were the notes on Nussmeier, and I reached out to another team source, and he felt from a comp perspective, he said he kind of reminded, Nussmeier reminded this guy of a young Joe Flacco coming out of Delaware. So that's what I've heard on Nussmeier. Those were my thoughts. Take it for what it's worth, which isn't much right now. But I would say, kind of to put a bow on it, the potential is there for him to be a possible first-round pick. We'll see how he develops. I do think, given the way Brian Kelly really helped Jaden Daniels progress from the player he was at Arizona State to what he became at LSU with winning the Heisman and going second overall and, becoming a point machine as a player in the SEC. I definitely think that, that bodes well for Nussmeier to make strides in his second year as a starter. Now that he has a year of starting experience, some players will really thrive based off of that. Some guys we've seen be a flash in the pan, great one year, and then they fall back to earth the next year. So who knows? But at any rate, I do think the potential is there for Nussmeier to continue to get starter grades, which could push him into being a first-round pick next April. All right, so let's get into Jeremiyah Love, the running back at Notre Dame, player that I really love, and he jumped out to me last year as with everyone watching college football late in the season. He was the real engine of the Notre Dame offense. Riley Leonard and the passing attack was very inconsistent, but all year Love and the ground game did the heavy lifting for the Irish, came up big week after week, and carries the load for the offense to get them into the national championship. So I definitely think that Love has starting ability for the NFL. Now again, more important than my opinion is the opinion of NFL evaluators. So here is what a director of player personnel had to say about Love. He may not seem dynamic, just kind of off the eyeball test, but he's special. Very strong, great contact balance, good vision, good feel, good top end speed. I think he's better than Omarion Hampton as a prospect, not as big as Omarion, but a better running back. I think Love is similar to Nick Chubb coming out of Georgia. And he also said that Love has great intangibles, great kid, soft-spoken, good worker, and has kind of everything you're looking for as a player in the locker room and in the meeting room. So that's what they felt about Love. And in the film, he's kind of an easier evaluation. You just see all the strength, the contact balance, the way he can pick up yards after contact, the way he can open it up when he hits a crease and gets into the open field. He's got a second gear, a lot like Chubb in that regard as well. So I think Jeremiyah Love definitely has first-round potential. I would be assuming he stays healthy. I think that I would be shocked if he wasn't a second round pick at worst. So, so I think he could definitely be a starter. If he isn't a first round pick, then I think, grade wise, he's probably going to end up in that early second round range, like the Ohio State guys we saw this past year, Henderson and Judkins. And the running back position's a little quirky with who will take what in the first round, but I do think Love is in that ballpark of the O'Marion, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins kind of group. I would say if you put Love in this past draft, I probably, based off what I watched over this past week in the film there, I would say I would have put him behind Ashton Genty, but about equal or maybe slightly ahead of O'Marion Hampton. Kind of second, third over rated back in last year's draft class. But we'll see how he does this next season. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of defenses selling out to stop him. That's just going to be the way it is every week for him after what he did last year with carrying that team to the national championship. And I'd also add in there that I think he really showed well as a receiver last year and has blitz protection upside for the NFL. I think he'll turn into a 3-down starter, can be a bell cow back, and a guy that contributes as a blocker, receiver, and runner. So definitely like Jeremiyah Love as a prospect heading into this season. So that's digging into two guys that we're going to watch a lot, and I'll be writing a lot about come this fall. I'll have more of these, preseason scouting reports and previews on prospects here in the weeks to come, and the prospect rankings going up. And as I'm digging deeper into the rankings and talking to more team people, every week there's going to be changes there, and changes reflected in the mock draft as we get more familiar with next year's guys. So the mock will be getting updated just about every week as well, and the link to that's below, so you can check out the latest one there. But hope everyone had a great Flag Day. Got to represent the stars in our great country that we're all blessed to live in. So I want to thank all you guys for watching. I love all of you. Thank you so much. I'll be back with you soon.